Okay, so there's this new university rule from the UGC, and it is causing an absolute firestorm, especially up in North India. We're talking about a rule that's kicked off major protests, sparked huge debates, and, has even fueled some pretty wild theories on social media. So let's dive right in.
And we're going to start with the most explosive theory making the rounds, the one that has everybody talking. Is this entire situation a carefully planned plot to take down one of India's most powerful chief ministers? I mean, that's a massive claim, so we really need to understand how we even got here.
But before we get into any conspiracies, we have to get our heads around what this new rule actually says. So what is it that the University Grants Commission, the UGC, has actually mandated for 2026?
On the surface, the requirements seem pretty straightforward. Every single college and university has to set up an equal opportunity center, an equity committee, and a 24/7 helpline. The rule also calls for special protections for students from scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. And, here's the kicker, it introduces a fast-tracked complaint process.
So what does fast-tracked actually mean here? Well, it means that when a complaint is filed, the committee has to get together for a meeting within 24 hours. And from that point, they have to make a decision within just 15 days. And that's the official timeline. But it's this very speed that's really the start of all the controversy.
And yeah, that brings us to the backlash. This rule, which was designed to protect certain students, has ended up with thousands of other students taking to the streets to protest. Let's take a look at why.
The reaction was, wow, immediate and intense. Huge protests just erupted across major student hubs in Uttar Pradesh and Delhi. It's mainly general category students leading the charge, and they're feeling like this new rule leaves them completely exposed.
There is no protection for us. This line from the protesters, it really gets to the heart of their anxiety, The feeling out there is that while new protections are being rolled out for some, they're being left with absolutely nothing, and that's creating what they see as a whole new kind of imbalance.
So, if we dig a little deeper, there are two specific fears that are really fueling all this anger. First, there's a belief spreading that the new equity committee will only have members from reserved categories. And second, and this is the big one, the fear that a single false complaint could get them thrown in jail, just like that. But here's the thing, as it turns out, both of these beliefs are actually incorrect.
So let's break it down. How does a complaint actually get handled under this new system? Is it really a one-way ticket to jail like the protesters are afraid of?
And this is the core of the whole misunderstanding. On one side, you've got this fear of instant, serious consequences. But on the other side, the reality laid out in the rules is, well, it's a much longer, more bureaucratic, multi-step procedure. So how does this actually play out? It's not a straight line to the police, not at all. First, the equity committee gets 15 days to investigate, but their decision isn't the final word. It then goes up to the head of the university, who basically acts as a crucial second check to decide if the case even has any merit. And only after it clears all these internal university hurdles would the police even get a call to start their own separate investigation. It's a really long process.
All right, so now that we understand the rule and how the process really works, let's circle back to that wild theory we started with. Because for a lot of people, this isn't about campus policy, it's about national politics.
And this all leads to the really big question being asked online. Could the ruling party, the BJP, be intentionally setting up one of its own star chief ministers, Yogi Adityanath, to fail?
So here's the theory in a nutshell. The central leadership, we're talking Modi and Amit Shah, introduced this rule knowing it would tick off upper caste voters, who are a key part of their support base. And the alleged goal? To politically weaken Yogi Adityanath right before some very important elections. This is the grand political chess game that some people believe is being played out.
So this really brings us to the heart of the whole debate. When you strip everything else away, is this a genuine, maybe flawed attempt at social justice? Or is it just a calculated move in a high-stakes political game?
There's a fascinating irony in all of this. The very same groups who, in the past, might have questioned the value of the Constitution are now the ones holding it up, asking where their constitutional rights have gone. It's a pretty dramatic shift in the whole conversation.
Ultimately, this isn't a simple case of right versus wrong. The rule itself seems to be a bit of a mixed bag. The analysis suggests that the policy needs to be tweaked to make sure the rights of general category students are also clearly protected. The goal should be a system that cuts down on discrimination without creating a whole new set of fears.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? What is the real driving force behind this rule? Is it a push for social justice, or is it just a pawn in a much larger political game? It's a complicated picture, and the answer is probably somewhere in between. What do you think?